Well, this face could be misinterpreted. Something resembling tentacles in a show with a internet-heavy fanbase? Oh boy. Please don't do it, fandom. Please don't do it. Oh, we are so screwed. Hello there, this is AnY and welcome to my analytical top 5 yay and nay list for the Season 4 opening two-parter Princess Twilight Sparkle. Before we get to the list, a few short side notes and/or observation. During the CBD Podcast's episode discussion, available on demand on Byte's channel, somebody threw in the infamous D word in regards to Twilight's cutie mark resembling the original shape of the element of magic. But thankfully, we discovered a reasonable and completely destiny-free explanation. The element of magic from the tree is the original source for the shape magic takes if it has to take a form. Therefore, what would a cutie mark resembling magic look like? Correct, it would look like the incarnation or rather crystallization of the element of magic itself. This also explains why a magical powerhouse like Shining Armor has this symbol as well in his cutie mark. While we are on the subject of magic, in my first impressions video I dare to compare the Sonic Star Boom Twilight's radiating colorful gigantic light show performed during flying with Dashy's radiating colorful gigantic light show performed during flying, commonly known as the Sonic Rain Boom. I wouldn't have necessarily brought this up again if it hadn't been one of the most widely recurring posted comments. Twilight's light show was apparently magic, while Rainbow's is caused by the enormous speed. My personal guess would have been that the visual effect of the Sonic Rain Boom has something to do with the magical field of Equestria as well. But being the horrendous, dug-up smartass that I am, I can appreciate getting smart-assed myself and acknowledge my screw-up. And look who is back. Number 1, meh. Another hot topic about this episode was apparently the lack of a villain. I even got asked what I think about this break with the tradition. Seriously? We need a villain to tell a story? Where do you get those ideas? In the Crystal Empire we were given a villain and, except a handful of people who enjoyed Sombra's concept and overlooked his failed execution, people complained about him. I have no problem with some black plant thingy being the obstacle the protagonists have to overcome. The fact that there is no clear-cut villain in and of itself is, in my eyes, simply meh. Number 5. Neigh! Alicon magic is dark magic? Considering my love for twisted and grimdark stories, I would actually be psyched by the idea that Alicons turn out to be creatures of darkness, but it is MLP after all and not one of my psycho animes. In addition, it is not presented like it is foreshadowing something like that. It is merely supposed to be Alicon magic if you ask me. Therefore, my number 5 nay is an unnecessary confusion caused by the bad choice of animation assets. It is either no big deal or I might be completely wrong and there is actually something coming. Either way, only bottom of the list. Number 5. Yay! Putting the elements of harmony to rest. Well, this pick might surprise a few, but I actually consider this a good thing, not only because it makes the plot of Equestria Girls look even more stupid. AJ was probably not the only one to whom their connection through the elements was overshadowing their connection through their friendship. And let's be honest, the elements of harmony have always been a couple of Deus Ex Machina plot convenient MacGuffins. They inspired some absolutely amazing fan fictions, but for the show itself they don't really have too much meaning. They even distract from the overarching theme of friendship. Elements of harmony, rest in peace. Another rather small factor that stood out to me enough that I consider it worth mentioning. Number 4. Neigh! There were quite a few jokes that felt really forced in that one. Big Mac's verbal battle with the vines, Spike's fainting, and falling downstairs are just 3 examples. I also had a few really good laughs, but overall there had been some really weird head scratchers in there. Believe it or not, it only made it to number 4. Yay! Princess Twilight Sparkle. She needs flying lessons, she is still her beloved, adorable, paranoid self and no Mary Sue or something like that. She still is struggling to adapt to her new status, and this change gets acknowledged and directly addressed in those 2 episodes. This is pretty much everything I asked for. So why only number 4? Well, as happy and excited as I am about all this, as you can witness in my first impressions video, I consider most of those developments necessary. If Megan would have not addressed any of those, they would probably have ended up high on my Neigh list. Talking about Neigh. Number 3.
Neigh!
That damn potion. Everybody on the plushie already talked about how contrived and convenient it was that Sakura just happened to have a potion and a hoof that helps solving the current crisis, but only works for the only alicorn in the party. So I won't go into this in detail as well. Instead, I want to point out what ingenious opportunity has been missed out on here. Professional Scumbag had the idea of memory orbs. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Fallout Equestria, memory orbs are magical artifacts which preserve particular memories. In other words, they would have fulfilled the potion's exact function, would have worked far more smoothly, and could have been a nice wink to the fandom. But I guess in the end, more important than how something gets implemented is what gets implemented. Number 3.
Yay!
The flashbacks. I have to admit that I have rather mixed feelings about them, and while especially the first flashback let go of my inner fanboy, I cannot ignore the fact that they, excluding the last one, did not really add much to the story. We basically just got to see the lore we already knew about for years, as beautiful and epic as it was. Luna's transformation, the airborne chase scene, Tia's regret, the explanation of Discord's original petrified pose, and my personal highlight, which sister wielded which element. Tia has kindness, generosity and magic, very fitting if you ask me. And Luna has loyalty, honesty and laughter. This may seem confusing at first, especially considering the Nightmare Moon incident. Then again, she usually speaks her mind very directly. She has fun at Nightmare Night, and ignoring the Nightmare Moon incident triggered by an exterior force, she is completely loyal to her big sister and follows every single decision Tia makes. The only bit of salt, really, Nightmare Moon's eternal night lasted a whole of 5 minutes. It sounded a tad more epic in the beginning of the series. Well, we are halfway through the list, but I consider even the next one not overly bad. Number 2.
Neigh!
Many characters felt off now and then. Pinky degenerated to her season 1 self, Rarity, usually one of the more mature and reasonable ponies, was somehow oblivious and aimless. Spike was weak, especially considering that Megan normally rides one of the best Spikes, and of course there is this infamous moment when the girls send Twilight home. I see Applejack's reasoning and its purpose plot-wise, but when I saw this scene for the first time I was like, what the fuck? I still don't see the main 6 acting that way. On a related note, the lack of background characters. We've got a few in the beginning and of course the crowd during the happy end celebration. In between we barely see any other ponies around, especially no royal guard. Sure, they put a lot of animation resources in some real eye candy moments. And if you have to cut corners, then better background ponies than action scenes or experimenting with new angles. But I also have to say something good about characters. Number 2.
Yay!
Discord. Yeah, no big surprise here. I mean, who hasn't praised Discord as highlight of the episode yet? Yeah, great to see him back, he was funny, and thank Luna he is his old mischievous self, yada yada yada. What I want to talk about is the role he adapted. For quite some time I was rather puzzled by his behavior and struggled figuring him out. He remains quote-unquote good even after the elements of harmony are not threatening him anymore. But his reformation was obviously not so absolute as it looked at the end of Keep Calm and Flood On. He knew exactly what the threat was. He openly admits at the end that the plans were part of his sinister plan to take down the princesses, and he is only helping out when he is confronted by the main six. All this fits perfectly in my analysis of him as a chaotic neutral character I did in my Keep Calm and Flutter On review, but I still wasn't sure about his role. Then on my second watch through, it hit me. This scene caught my attention.
And rob you of a valuable lesson about being princess?
Okay, Discord took over for Celestia as the one who lets half of Equestria suffer just so Twilight can learn a lesson. Quite a few other analysts picked up on that one as well. But there is something about Discord style that felt familiar. An omnipotent, mysterious being who knows exactly what is going on but just sits on the sidelines, letting the protagonist struggle through ridiculous circumstances while taunting her. All just so she can learn something about herself in the end. I have the feeling Discord is no longer heavily inspired by Star Trek's Q. He is now Star Trek's Q. Number 1. The writing. While I enjoy the plot as a whole, there were quite a few aspects that did not really work. The previously mentioned potion of convenience, as well as a long flashback that did de facto distracted viewers from the story at hand. As well as a whole forced setup for the moment of setback during the falling action when Twilight returns to Ponyville so she can have this illuminating talk with Discord. Even though she used to be a unicorn, she resorts to flying instead of magic in a moment of lethal danger and panic. All her friends decide in unison she should go back to Ponyville alone with the element of harmony. I get the whole protect the last princess idea, I just love AJ doesn't even consider Cadence as possible ruler. But the remaining 5 deciding to move on without Twilight, or any spellcaster for that matter since Rarity's magic is out of commission, is simply dumb. Not to mention that sending Twilight back through the Eversea Forest alone to protect her, right after she nearly would have died in the Eversea Forest if she would have been alone, defeats its purpose, doesn't it? Yet of course, swapping one Deus Ex Machina McGuffin with another is not really a satisfying payoff on itself. But... Number 1... The promise connected to the box. I'm not trying to defend the ridiculously contrived and out of left field turn of events not even Shyamalan would have used in his movies. But I don't care, because Megan didn't even intend to build up towards the holy box in any way. This whole season's opener, especially the box, was supposed to show us the new direction the series is about to take for its upcoming season and beyond. Many fans predicted that Twilight's Ascent would be a game changer, and to be honest, it had to be. The title nor the additional wings can simply be ignored for the show to continue as it used to during the first 3 seasons. Instead of making some half-hearted changes, the team decided to go all out and embrace the change to develop a completely new format for the show. This new format seems very likely to include the greatly desired season-spanning story arc. I am aware that this can still go horribly wrong. I also do realize that this kind of change breaks the show for many viewers for one reason or another. But I for one look forward to see where this show is going, and am curious what Megan's team has prepared for us. But I have one big request to all of you guys. I was able to enjoy this season's opener nearly blind with only very minor details spoiled up front. And it was awesome. To make it possible for me to stay in the dark yet interact with all of you, keep me and my channel spoiler free, and please don't leave any comments or PMs revealing any information about future episodes on my videos. Big thank you in advance. This is AnY saying see you soon.
On this journey and